Positive EV betting typically is all math oriented, where you're just following numbers and betting based on different odds and probabilities. But there's also a little bit of skill involved in positive EV betting, which isn't often talked about. It's the reason that some positive EV bettors lose and some positive EV bettors win. Now, today we're going to talk about the Outlier Pro plan and the line movement charts that it has with the positive EV bets it presents to you. Understanding line movement is going to give you a leg up from the rest of the competition that is just blindly placing plus EV bets without understanding where the market is going. Now, by betting with line movement, you have the ability to increase your ROI, increase your long-term profits because you're able to analyze the market and get a picture of where the line is moving. If you understand where the odds are going, where the market is moving, you can increase your CLV, which is going to increase your long-term profits. It's going to increase your ROI and many other things. Along with understanding where the market is going, this will give you the ability to play very low edges, sometimes even under 1% edges. So I often play very low edges in that 1% range that will close to 3 to 4% by game time because I understand where the market is going. So not only can you bet low EV plays, but you can also understand which EV plays might not actually be good to take. If the market is moving against you, yes, it might be a 2 or 3% EV play at the time you placed it. But if the market continues to go one way, it's a bet you should probably not place. And that is really where the difference between the line movement charts, having them or not having them, is so important, is knowing which plays not to take. Volume is often preached when it comes to positive EV betting, because the more bets you can get down with an edge, the more money you can make. It also flattens out your variance and increases your profits. But you can make just as much money not betting at a crazy volume if you're finding good bets with good line movement, because your ROI is going to increase. Instead of placing a bunch of bets that might move against you in the mix of all of your good bets, really understanding line movement is going to give you the ability to really stack up as many edges as possible. Typically, when you're sports betting, you're trying to beat the closing line, 60 to 70% of the time to really have an edge. But if you are understanding where the market is moving, you can really increase that CLV up to 75, 80%. Now, there's always cases where the market is going to turn on its head and go against you, but that's just, the reality of sports betting. You're not always going to be on the right side of the line, but understanding the movement charts is going to give you a, really good opportunity to beat the close more often than you would have if you did not have the charts. Like I said earlier, being able to read the market, read the odds movement is going to give you a leg up on the competition. But this isn't as cut and dry as positive EV betting, where it just spits out an EV percentage, your Kelly criteria, how much you should bet, and all that. It's more of an art than it really is just like mathematical problems. So for an example, we're going to see some charts here where if the number is moving in one direction, we think we're going to close better. The Kelly criterion formula might be telling us to bet a quarter of a unit. But if we are, anticipating that market to continue that trend, and we think that this market could close at 2 or 3%, then we should actually be bumping up our unit size maybe to a half unit or 3/4 of a unit. It's really a process, and it's really something that you need to dial in. You'll identify which bets are good, even at lower EV percentages, that you want to put more money down. So this is really more of an art, like I said, than a skill or anything like that. It's something that you have to develop on your own. But we're going to take a dive into the Outlier Pro plan right now. We're going to look at some bets to lay off of that we typically would have probably placed. And we're also going to find some really good bets that we might scale up our unit size on them because they're so good when it comes to the line movement charts. All right, so this is the Outlier Pro plan. This is the positive EV page, and I already have some of my filter settings set to find positive EV plays for me. Now, we have multiple videos on the Outlier YouTube page of how to go through your filters and set up some really good filter settings that are going to help you identify good positive EV plays. But now we're going to take it a step further and find plays that are also trending in the right direction in terms of line movement. So this first one is catching my eye here. We got a 3.18% edge. This one's on FanDuel, and we're looking at the Phillies and the Marlins under 3.5 runs in the first 5. So if we hit this drop-down arrow, it's going to show us all the odds of the other books in the market. So FanDuel, like I said, this is where our edge is. We're seeing it at plus 160. Pinnacle is a really sharp book used in the DVIG process. They're sitting at 150. DraftKings 150. Bet Online is 140, MGM 145. So just looking at it as, the overall market, this looks like a good bet. And without line movement chart, this is a bet that I would definitely hit because we have a 3% edge with value to almost every single book. But if we open up the line movement chart right here, we are going to see that both Pinnacle and FanDuel have been actually moving their lines up. So earlier in the day, this line was at plus 148 on FanDuel, and now they've moved to plus 162. So they've added a lot of value to this side of the line, meaning they are giving you a higher payout now than they were earlier this morning. So why would they do that? Basically, they want you to bet that side because they would be lowering the value if they didn't want you to bet it. So you want to avoid the markets that are moving against you like this. So they were offering plus 148. Now they're offering plus 162. They would only do that if they wanted you to bet into them. So this is a play that even at a 3% edge, I'm probably going to avoid. We really want to see movement downwards, right? And Pinnacle is also a sharp book here, and they've gone from plus 140 to plus 150. So they're also moving in that direction, basically saying that the probability of this hitting is actually getting lowered. So it's a bet that the market is not moving the right way. Now, this is also a little bit of the artwork here. We have a 3% edge. So there is room for some error or the market to move against you slightly, but it's not something that I want to take a risk on. This is kind of early in the morning to be placing this bet, so the market still has to shape up quite a bit. The other cool thing with the tool here is you can remove or add different books. So I don't really want to see what Bovada is doing. I don't really care about Hard Rock, like all these soft books. But if you want to check, DraftKings and MGM, they're also moving up from this number. So definitely a market we want to stay off. The second play we're going to look at here is only a 1.73% edge. But with the line movement charts here, this is going to be a really great play. But before we get to that, let's first just look at where the market is sitting on this play. And this is the Cardinals and the White Sox over 4.5 runs. We're getting this at minus 105 on MGM. Our fair value price is minus 109. So as long as we're getting a better price than minus 109, we should be good here. And obviously minus 105 is better than minus 109. So looking at the whole market here, there are a lot of books with odds available, which is nice to see. The more books you can have in a DVIG process, the better. So let's look at our three sharper books here. We have Pinnacle sitting at minus 118 on the over, and then Circa and Bookmaker are sitting at basically a coin flip here, having it at minus 110 on both sides. Now, Pinnacle is really leaning towards the over, so that's where our value is coming from. But if we look across the market here, we're seeing, even Caesars is minus 130. Bet Online is minus 120. Bovada is minus 125. So a lot of favorable outcomes are for, favoring the over here. So let's take a look at the line movement chart here. So this looks great right off the bat. This brown line is MGM. They were priced at plus 100 and they dropped their payout to minus 105. So that's exactly what you want to see. When a book starts offering less value on the line, that means the win probability is increasing. So there's either, information coming out that this side is more likely to win now, or there's some sharp money coming on a certain side. Now, Pinnacle is a book that typically moves when money comes in on one side of the line. So we want to be on the same side of the line as professional bettors that are moving markets. So if we look at Pinnacle here, they had this at plus money earlier in the day, plus 105, and they dropped all the way down to minus 118. So that's a big move. That's 23 cents in favor of the over in this situation. Let's throw in Circa. So we can also see Circa mixed. They're also plus 105 and moved to minus 110. And Bookmaker pretty much did the same thing. They were plus 105 and now they're minus 110. So every book is starting to move down. So if we throw in DraftKings, you can see they're dropping. So this is like a textbook chart where, the line movement is starting to favor the over here. So this is a play that I would take. Now, if we open this play up and we look at, let's go half Kelly. Now, this is saying that we should place, 0.91 units here. So, but the line movement chart is so great. This is a play that I would round up to maybe 1.25 units or maybe 1.5, because I really think this line is going to close well because of the movement that we're seeing in the market. So this gives you the opportunity to play, smaller edges. This is not even a 2% edge, but we're going to hit this a little bit harder because we have that market confirmation. So we are playing the play with a 2% edge, but we're laying off the other one we talked about earlier with a 3% edge. So It really changes your whole mindset when you can look at the line movement charts. And this is a learning process. Like I said, you're going to place some bets where the market snaps back against you, and you're going to wondering what the hell I did wrong. But really just try to, if you see charts that are a little bit confusing, you're not sure which way the market is moving, just keep an eye on those and see where they move throughout the rest of the day. This is a whole new world of plus EV betting, and it's going to really give you a leg up and make you more of an advanced plus EV bettor. Also give you the opportunity to make a lot more profits. If you found this content helpful in any way, please leave the like button or hit the subscribe button so you can get notified whenever we post new content to the Outlier YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comment, please leave them down below. Myself or an Outlier team member will answer them as quickly as we can. I appreciate you guys for watching. Let's go make some money.